Hi everybody, I just wanted to show you this really cool new technique that I've learned recently about how to get pumping to happen in your session using sends. So a lot of people get pads to pump and the bass to pump using sidechain compression. Well, I'm going to show you a different way to do this that gives a lot more control across your tracks and is really cool, and actually leads to some other really advanced things that you can do that I want to show you in another video once we're able to grasp this concept down. So let me play this track back for you. I just threw this together real quick. I just have a kick drum, bass, and a pad, and it sounds like this. Okay, so what we're going to do to get this to work, we're first going to create an auxiliary input. I'm going to make sure it's stereo, and I'm going to solo safe it. And I did that by holding down Command on a Mac. That'd be holding down Control on a Windows machine. I'm going to rename this auxiliary input as pumper, and I'm going to choose a stereo bus. For the input, I'm going to rename that pumper as well. And what I'm going to do is put a multi-mono native other trim plug-in on here. I'm going to invert the phase. And so now if I come to a track like this bass track and I put the bumper or pumper for my send and I zero this out, I also want to make sure that I have the panners following the main panner to get this to work. For this to work, everything's got to be really tight as far as it's got to be sample accurate in your project. So you make sure you do have delay compensation on. If you don't, of course, go to Options, Delay Compensation, and make sure that's turned on. So as I play this back, I'm going to solo this bass track. You'll hear that it's canceled out. So I don't hear anything, but as I turn down the send, you hear how it comes back, okay? So that's how you'll know if you have it set up properly. The next step to do is now we're going to go ahead and add an expander on this pumper track. So I'm going to go to Dynamics. I'm going to choose Expander. I'm going to turn on the side chain, and I'm going to pick a bus input. I'm going to choose bus 3. And then on my kick track, I am going to send out to the bus 3. I'm going to zero out the send. And I like my sends going to side chains pre-fader so that as I change volumes, it doesn't change my settings of a side chain expander. I'm going to rename this to be key. And so now let's go ahead and play it back. Okay, so if I solo this bass track, you'll see that as the expander lets the phase inverted signal come through this bus, it then cancels out the bass. I find it's a little bit easier too to control the pumping tempo and how it pumps with an expander more so than a gate. I feel like I have more control. So I'm going to just make a few little adjustments here. Gonna put the kick in so I can, and it's actually sounding pretty good already for the tempo. Okay, so we've got this bass currently pumping, and the cool thing about this using a send is I can choose how much I want it to pump. So you can hear how as I get closer to 0, how it pumps a lot more. Now, let's say I want to add some pumping on the pad as well. Well, I'm going to copy the send. I'm holding down Option, click and drag. So now I have this send on the pad track. Let's listen to that. Okay, now the bass. And the cool thing is I can have different amounts. So I can choose, I don't want the bass to pump. Or maybe I want the bass to pump more than the pad, but I want them both to pump. And of course, writing an automation for your sends is really easy to do so that you can have certain parts of the song pumping and other parts not pumping. So go ahead and play with that. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think about this technique. I will be making another video soon that'll show you some ways that you can take this technique even further. That's just going to be awesome. So I will see you next time. Thanks.